photo. Sure. They are on their way as quickly as they can. So yeah, I guess there's confusion with the dismissal now. There's a confusion with their early dismissal so they got running behind a little late. Joking, you're order here. I apologize. Yeah. Yeah, but now yeah. No, the family. So right. Okay. What does? Don't keep your mind there. It's so bad because there's shame easy. So now one thing is TVOs Good afternoon. Welcome to the March 21st Rotary Beavercreek meeting. We didn't have graders today. Greta is out at Ryla, and Mike Swick is where Mike Swick is. So, I'd like to thank Eric Marcus for Ticketmaster and everything else he does. Got the handworker set up. I'm glad she got in here to do that because I had no idea what I'm doing when it comes to that. Kate Bale is Mark Weinstein and Mike Swick for the great programs, and Jim Gendel for the website. So if you would, Denny, presentation. Well, good afternoon on this first meeting in spring. Would you please join me in prayer? Oh, Holy Creator, Giver of good, we thank you for our daily food. May our Rotary friends in our Rotary ways help us to serve thee in all of our days. Amen. Thank you. Secretary's report, Joe Jenkins.
We're at 50% today. We have a bunch of guests. Diddy, do you want to introduce the guest person or wait?
We'll wait.
Okay. Beth has a guest?
I have Kenzie. She's here, I think, 4th or 5th time. She's got her application right here, so we're real excited. She'll be joining us very soon.
Let's just say this is a full month, so she needs to have the
Yeah.
Say it again.
she needs the application filled out.
Okay, got it. We're legit, yeah.
Just
Oh.
Hey, we'll have like a lifetime Abby.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. You have a guest?
Yeah, I guess John and Mimi Romano. This is their second time here. And it's interesting with them, they walked in last week and said we were called to be here. So I'm excited about them being. All right, well, as you may or may not know, Chris couldn't be here today for Sergeant at Arms report. And I want to thank Josh for stepping up to say he would do it. But I kind of asked him to sit down as we've got the four-way speakers here. So we'll do that. And Danny, where are you? To the drawing. Yeah, beautiful. What's going to do that afterward, but we can do it now. Simple waiting for the speakers on. Sure. Who wants to be? Pick a card, any card. Don't you need to?
Don't you know?
Yeah.
Why pick it first? Well, I'm gonna go have them draw a card. Draw a card.
When?
Draw a card. Oh, well, you don't draw the card. Hold on. Well, we need to get Chris back in here.
Yeah.
There, draw. Battle. Now draw my attention. That's yeah. Bye. And you know, this is probably the most experienced Rotarian we have here. So I tell you, we're in shape work. All right, who's ticket is? All right, winning ticket is 653-717. Someone has them.
Yeah. Did you hear it?
No.
What is it? What was the number?
717. I got it. Draw a card, Danny. Any card, so long as it's not the 10 of clubs. Here comes a joker. That means I owe the pot. He's halfway there. Mike Rose. Well, let me just with one thing. You won the opportunity to come up here and introduce our speaker. Watch your step coming up, though. I don't want to pick you up. Well, good afternoon. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, we had four-way speaking. Judges. Ed Kuzak, Grant O'Shaughnessy, Dave, Bernard, and Alex Zahara were present at a terrific four-way speech contest. And this year, I would like to introduce Frieda Lozano, who is again a repeat winner. Oh, wow. Well, our Lord. It's very elected your mother. Patricia. Okay, and Frida's right is our third place winner, a guy named Matthew Blackwell. And I'll talk a little bit about each of these in a bit. And across the table is Matthew's mother, Dorothy. And just seated right next to Matthew is Elliot Chen. And he's our second place winner. And I'll talk about each of these in a bit. And to the other person sitting at the table is a really important guy, is Rahul Guha. He is the guy I've been working with for several years now. He's a speech and debate coach for the Beavercreek High School. And he's the guy that gins up all the interest in the clubs for ways of contests. Welcome. Well, I'll tell you what. If you've got nothing else to do, Freda, would you be willing to give your presentation? Yep. Do you want to mic?
No thanks.
Okay, so she'll be up here. Okay, our presentation is on stop.
Gardening.
And I'm not letting
Gardening.
that. Come on,
Gardening, Denny. Gardening.
the gardening. Well, actually. Okay, yes. Just leave your description. Yes.
It was an incredibly early Saturday morning. And by incredibly early, I do mean 9 o'clock, but early for me. When my mom came into my room, pulled me out of bed and said, "We're going shopping." Now, normally I would be excited by this, but I knew my mom. And I knew that when she said we're going shopping, she meant for plants, specifically native plants. Now, the United States Forest Service defines native plants as plants that were here before the European colonies came over here. So basically, these are plants that are older than the entirety of the United States. So to demonstrate why my mom would wake me up so early just to go shopping for these specific plants, I'm going to put native plants through the Rotary four-way test. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendship? And is it beneficial to all concerned? And I'll tell you right now, the answer to every single one of those questions is yes. But first, is it the truth? To which the answer is yes. Now we can see this specifically with how native plants grow. Now, in the state of Ohio, when you look outside, you never know if it's going to be snowing, raining, sunny, hailing. You don't know if it's going to be 60 degrees, 40 degrees, or even 20 degrees. That's just how Ohio is. Now, because of this, it makes it a little bit hard for plants to grow and thrive here. But it's not hard for native plants. In fact, according to the Argument for Wildlife in 2023, native plants specifically grow better because they're better suited to the soil and the climate of the area where they're supposed to be. So even though us humans and regular plants aren't really used to Ohio, native plants are, so they grow better. And if that doesn't prove it's the truth, then maybe the fact that Governor Mike DeWine officially made April Native Plant Month in Ohio because of the efforts of the Taft family. Yes, like President Taft. But this leads to the next question. Is it fair to all concerned? which the answer again is yes. But to understand this question, we have to look at who's actually in concern. And I'm going to say that it's humans and animals and insects. Now, with the system that we have now with our yards, with non-native plants and grass, it's actually not fair for us because although we get pretty yards, when we take away native plants, we're taking away the homes and the food of the animals and insects that live in Ohio. But when we introduce these plants back into Ohio ecosystems and into our yards, we're making it fair because now we have a pretty place to raise our children, and these animals and insects actually have a place to raise their children. So yes, native plants are fair because they're making an unfair system fair. Now, for these last two questions, I'm going to go a little bit out of order. And first go to, is it beneficial to all concerned? Which the answer, this may surprise you, is yes. Now, I think that most of you in this room probably have children or at least grandchildren. And I know you probably thought to yourself once, why do children and grandchildren never go outside? It's probably because of that phone. And yes, it partially is because of that phone, but there's actually another reason. Now, for people in my generation or even younger, we don't have some of the same reasons that you guys had to go outside. When you guys went outside, you had things to see. You got to chase around butterflies in the daytime, and at night you got to go catch fireflies. Now, unluckily for my generation, that's not a sight that we tend to see as often. And that's one of the main reasons because of that. It's because we've taken away native plants. When we take away native plants, suddenly these insects and these interesting things that happen outside don't want to come near us. So children don't go outside because they don't see these things. When we introduce native plants, we bring back things like the monarch butterfly or even the firefly, giving them a reason to come back and giving our children and grandchildren a reason to go outside. Now, for the very last question, will it build goodwill and better friendship? With the answer, last but not least, is yes. Now, specifically with native plants, these are plants that you can commonly find at specific normal plant stores. And because of that, people who are interested in native plants have built communities around these plants. So, according to my mother, just today, native plant sales will start in April. And with these native plant sales come communities who have known each other for an incredibly long time. And because of their interest in plants, they've all gathered together for one love of one thing. And they get together throughout the spring and summer and fall months to meet and sell plants to each other. And in fact, native plants have even helped my relationship with my mom. And although waking up early was a bit annoying, we did have some fun times. Like one time when we were shopping for plants and it started absolutely pouring on us, so we had to run back to my car filled with arms of plants. Now, these are the type of fun that the community of native get to experience at all times. So yes, native plants does get to build better will and good friendship. So this brings us back to native plants in the Rotary 4-way test, which it passed with flying colors. So maybe now I'll understand why my mother gets me up so early in the morning to go shopping for them. But you don't need to tell her that. Thank you.
Well, Frida, don't get too comfortable. I'm asking you to come back up along with Matthew and Elliot. Would you please join me up here? Because I have a few gifts. Frida, as our winner, here's a check from our Rotary Club to you for $500. What her talk was about. Elliot Chen had a terrific shot. Our scoring actually made us talk among each other quite a bit. His was on the stock market. And as a person younger than 18, his precipitation in the stock market in a club. He did a bang up job talking about the 4-way test. Matthew, oh, by the way, Elliot came in second, and here's a check from the club to you for $300. Thanks. Now, Matthew had an approach, Dorothy, that I have never ever heard in a 4-way speech contest. True, without a doubt. that he knows the four-way test upside down and backwards. He gave a speech about a particular movie in Netflix, and he took a negative view of each one of the four-way test. And he stretched that right to the end. And I'll tell you what, it was an interesting, fascinating presentation, and he reminded me of a movie that I ain't gonna watch. So, check to Matthew for a third place for $200 from our club to you. Can I have a picture? Got it.
Me?
Yeah, you. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. I'm always impressed when I see these high school kids and the things that they can do. Just, one other thing that I know we didn't have the sergeant arms today, but our junior ROTC at the high school just became national champions again for the third time in a row. All right, happy bucks.
I had a chance to talk to Jerry Pfeiffer today. So for those of you who don't know, Jerry's a longtime member of our club. He's a Vietnam vet, retiree, and has had a great career. And Jerry broke his neck recently, falling while he's cleaning out his house to move to assisted living facility or an independent living facility. And if you know Jerry is the most positive person in the world. And talking to him today, he just reflected that. So he may come next week, but he's back home. He was rehabbing in Columbus for a while. He has a daughter who lives in Bexley, but he said to say hello, and I won't go into the details of his injury and that, but he's rehabbing well and has his trademark good nature for it. So we'll hopefully see him next week.
Very good. Eric, would you mind taking the on around or David, you know? Anyone else? Happy bucks. We need money here since we don't have a sergeant at arms.
So yesterday, the Beavercreek Community, Carol Graff Beavercreek Community Library hosted a special event. First Lady DeWine announced the 20 millionth book that was delivered to the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. So 20 million books have been delivered to children under the age of 5 to work towards early literacy in the state of Ohio. So that's a significant milestone.
Wow. Yeah, I've got 2 great grandkids that are 3 and 4, will be 4 and 5. They've been getting them since they were born. So every month that comes, it's a great book. Anyone else?
Happy 5, and wanted to say thank you for coming.
Kathleen, we began a project back last October. Tomorrow, I get to go get all my tools out of storage. They're finishing garage. After 5 months, I worked for this project. I get to go get my tools out of storage, and I'm a happy man again.
The reason it took Steve 5 months to do that is his contractor's name is Don Barker, I think. And on his phone, Don Adams comes up first, so he calls me and complains every day about something out of line. Anyone else?
I would like to say something. We were introduced earlier as guests, so my wife Mimi and John. Last week, we were here at the meeting, Open Arms. We were so inspired and excited that we're back again. During that meeting, we shared that we were retired out of the Pentagon after serving in the military for 31 years. And when we were looking at retirement, we chose to come back to Beavercreek. I'd like to just briefly share why did we come back. There was a calling that we talked about a few minutes ago. So if you bear with me, I'd just like to share that brief story. We were here back in 2010, stationed at the base. I was a squadron commander there. My wife was the campus director for Park University in Area B. And so we just fell in love with the area, the community, all of you. And that's one of the primary reasons, but there's a little more behind the scenes on that one. So when we were stationed in Hawaii, to tell you the story of how we fell in love with this, our only son Brandon was looking at where he wanted to go back to college. And he could have went to school in Hawaii, it was absolutely beautiful. But he chose to go to Miami University here in Oxford, and he came back here to go to school. Leaving there, we went to the Pentagon. And at the Pentagon, when we were deciding to retire where we wanted to go, we looked at many places. We were stationed at 17 different locations. So we could have chosen anywhere, but we chose to come back here. And so when we were coming back, funny story, our son had graduated from Miami, and he chose to go to grad school. He went to Notre Dame in South Bend. And so we were coming back this way, he was going that way. Thankfully, Brandon graduated this last summer with his degree in engineering and business, and he decided to come back to Beavercreek. So he is now also back here. So he's a mechanical engineer by trade. And so the family's back together again. Why do I share that long story? I apologize for a long story, but it's for one reason, and that's all of you. We wanted to thank you. The community opened their arms to us, welcomed us, just like this group welcomed us last week to attend your meeting. And so we're here to say thank you. We want to be a part of a group that's making a difference. And this is that group. So that is our calling. And so thank you for bearing with me.
And it's Mayor of Beaver Creek. I need to talk with you later because you can publicize that to everyone you want to have for that.
Here's a learn.
But
I hate to even follow that. I'm not sure that this is a happy bus or announcement, but Holly Beard was here and dropped off some new member shirts. And we were talking to her about what people would like to see as far as apparel. For her to bring on April 4th, she's gonna bring some things. So if you have some ideas of what you'd like to get some new Rotary swag and what that would be printed on, please let me know and I'll let her know so that we can get her to bring some samples with us. And then I also have menu options for the polar catering for the Founder's Day. So if anybody has any strong feelings about that too, I'm happy to listen.
anyone else have any votes? David?
I was remiss last week,
Yeah, you weren't here last week.
yeah, that's why. But I was one of the judges for the first time on the four-way speech on fiber. Anyhow, it was very good to hear these students' speeches of what they come up with, how they put it all together. You hear so much about young folks today, you hear it on the news and you hear the negative parts, but you don't hear the positive parts. They were all very detailed speaking, and then there's they really got a lot of looking down the road. It doesn't make this, that made a difference in the way I was thinking. And I appreciate it. Thank you for coming.
Anyone else?
I'll put 5 in, and this is for, since we don't have fines, so.
That's the case, just put 10.
Yeah, well, that's my allowances. You know my life. So I don't know if I can afford the 5, because I'm sure, as Jim knows, our ticket prices are probably gonna go up for the Bengals season tickets, because they got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins sign, and Hendricks is right around the corner. So there's that. It's always great. Another happy buck for our library. I woke up this morning on every channel was about everything that they're doing great here in Greene County. So that's a happy buck. And then for you guys, I love doing it every year. And I've done it so many times. I was talking to a story. I've seen your older brother give a speech, and I'm seeing you. So that dates me. So
Anyone else? I have one, too, a couple of things. So we went back down from yesterday, things are really good with my surgery, so we still. And also, yesterday was in the report that had a chance to on there, the library. resolved, Carl, when he comes to speak with us a couple of weeks ago, let us know, bring us an update on that. I'm surprised that hasn't been beating us through. But there's what's happening in the community, you know, what you said is like a lot of stuff down there. And it's not, it's fitting everybody in, it's in one person or one organization. It's everyone in the community. So we appreciate it. Very
Our students that talk that are here today is not a senior. And when they enter, read that right at Beavercreek High School, which is a whole service. So that's the opportunity that's my hopeful. Talking about her.
Any announcement about? She was something about it.
Sure. April 26th, our club will be participating in the Florida Spring event. The state is putting on at Dominic Park. I will be sending out a sign up genius for the different tasks. You can just keep an eye out for email that Monday before, which is the Monday right after Easter. We're going to try to help the park district clean up the park prior to the event, and then 11 to 1 is the actual event. So to set up, our Rotary Club will have some bubbles and other activities available for the kids, and then they can help break down the image as well.
You know, also, Founders Day is scheduled for May 9th. I just found out that the golf course is not available that night. So we might have to look at some alternative. So we'll talk. I just found that out, so we'll talk about that. Beth, want to come up?
Thank you. So it is my privilege to welcome back Dr. Beavercreek. He is no stranger to our club. He is here today to share his passion for bringing clean water in a sustainable method. His return is timely. March 22nd is Worldwide. Dr. Bard joins today with 4 of his global directors, Honduras, India, Nepal, Kenya, a senior business advisor, and his health educator. A little bit about his credentials. He has a master's in administration from nursing, master's in logistics, and a bachelor's in nursing as well. He is the founder and CEO of Global Water Consortium and is an adjunct professor of graduate nursing, is that correct, at Cedarville University. He has 34 years of experience in critical care, mobile health care, and global health, and he brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to GWC. Last night, they celebrated 10 years of work out all around the world on creating safe water for communities, and we'll hear more about that today. He is here to share more details about Honduras, and our club is hopefully going to be partnering with them on exploring some ways that we can work with them on an international project, one that we haven't had as a club in a number of years. Some of you who are new may not hear. We used to have an clinic in Belize, and Dr. Brumfield, you can tell stories about that too. I said you should have heard. But we had an eye clinic in Belize that was supported for a long time. And since then, we haven't had an international project. So we are looking forward to working with you on this. So without further ado, please welcome Dr. Beavercreek.
I'll tell you what, I think all your presentations for global are for, I think it's the number 58. Professor for a decade, and now my hands are sweaty. I'm nervous. I got these 3 people right here. That are winners, and I got toast going on. I'm great. So thanks.
I got a presentation.
Yeah, so I'm a little nervous. I got to hold this really small thing. So don't grade me, right? Is that a deal? Can we not grade? We'll wait for this to go to presentation. But yeah, while we do that, I do want to just, you guys wave your hands. We had that year anniversary, last night to have all our global directors in. Shravan and Kumar is like Sonia. They've been with us from the very beginning. We have learned together, we have suffered together, but we've also rejoiced together. Let's see, we have Jitendra tonight from Nepal, the Southeast Director. We have a project going on in Kathmandu as well. Gustavo, you'll hear more about that. The work we're doing in Honduras. And then we have Mitch from Kenya, and we'll be headed there actually in July again. So excited about East Africa. All right.
Down means go forward.
Down means go forward. Man, there's two tests. All right, we're in business. So I was just here pretty much. So some of it may seem like a repeat, so maybe go through things a little bit quicker, which is probably not a bad thing. But our mission at GWC Projects is to establish some small water manufacturing projects. And when we talk about manufacturing water, that may seem like a different label, right? Because I hear a lot about drilling wells, right, or maybe some filters. But we'll talk more about what that means here. But we establish these projects where we manufacture safe water. Once you have safe water, then our vision is what else can we do? What else can we do? Right? If you are, for lack of a better term, lying on the ground suffering from typhoid, then why talk to them about education, or why talk to them about employment? Like, it doesn't matter. Right? So we start with water and then we build on that. I was telling my directors on the ride down here this morning, I said, Ohio's blessed. We sit in one of the best aquifers in the world. And what makes it hard for me to talk to people locally about the need for water because we're just so blessed. But anyway, that's our mission, our vision. There will be no tests on that, I promise. So just real quickly, what are some of the things about the problem? What's the problem? How does this even matter to where we're at? Over on the left, you'll see a lady in a community getting water. I have blue, green, red color lines, but I believe you tell me that the water is green. Right, the water is rich and it's sewer water. And some people say, well, why would anybody drink sewer water? It's because there's no other option. It's sewer water or no water. You don't live very long without water, right? We can go a long time without food. I just a lunch and I'm fine. We can't go very long without water. Lady right next door in the wall, getting from a well. Up here, the upper right, Himalaya Mountains. Anybody in the Himalayas? I can ask that question because I can read it. All right, cool. We did talk after. But so the Himalaya Mountains, extremely beautiful. The water coming out of the spring looks very clear, and you think it has to be wonderful, but it's filled with arsenic. And when I say that to some people, they're like, well, what company is poisoning those folks' water? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, great science. I had to dust off the top list. Arsenic is a natural element, right? And so these people are suffering and dying from heavy metal poisoning in this beautiful environment. Same thing with sulfur. So this is in Honduras. We'll talk about specifically the Florida bomb in a minute. But a couple of hurricanes came through and destroyed some more infrastructure that they had. So they had some infrastructure, it was poor, but that was destroyed. And so, let's see, we're going to go to the speech coach here, right? Right, where the speech coach is, because I can't remember the name. Right, but there's a crack in the ground. Maybe that's bad talk, but like, don't model what I'm doing here. There's a crack in the ground. And we have cold water coming out. And you go, well, that's nice. Well, it's cold, but it's contaminated. Right over here, we got the boss over here. We got a crack in the ground where there's hot water coming out. And somebody's like, well, that's kind of cool. That's like a sink. And I'm like, oh, I guess. Except the reason that it's hot is volcanic source, which has sulfur. And back to 8th grade science, sulfur plus H2O sulfuric acid. Like they're literally drinking acid. Why? Because there's not a door B. And so we have this problem, these people suffer, this isn't a clean, come on, right? This is the gentleman in charge of water for the community, and he goes, that's my tap water in my kitchen sink. And he's like, that's as good as we can get. I'm like, well, we can get better. And he was like, I hope so. All right, so that's the problem. We don't experience any of this in Ohio, right? Blessed. You can complain about the seawater or whatever you want, but your water's pretty good. So what do? I talked about manufacturing water. Well, there's 4 steps that we do. We bring in whatever the water source is. Could be sulfuric acid, could be arsenic, could be just sewer water. We bring it into a plant, literally a building. Run it through a processor on the far left, or I'm sorry, the far, if you're far left. Run it through a processor that allows us to make the other steps more efficient. So who owns a business in here? Right, so yeah, if you own a business, you understand about setting yourself up for success on the other sequential processes and whatever you do, right? And so that processor sets us up a little bit better. Then we run it through a set of filters. And some people go, well, filters good. Yes, but we'll have multiple filters. At least 3 different types of filters. When we talk about arsenic or sulfur, we'll add more to remove those specific elements. But it's not good yet. It's not good, it's not safe. We then have to run it through reverse osmosis. It takes a lot of total dissolved solids. I won't go into a science class now, right? Because that's not what you can report today, right? But if you're in total dissolved solids, think of sodium or salt as one of those. Right? When you go to the beach, nobody goes down to the water to drink salt water. Doesn't taste good and it's really not very healthy either. Right? So you're very total dissolved solids. But it's still not safe. It's better, but it's still not safe. The last process we do is we run it through then ultraviolet UV. That gets rid of the antineoplastic histolyticus, right? The things that Schwab and Kumar and Son and any of these others could tell you that make you sick. Specifically, if you go with me to Southeast India, you will see wonderful, beautiful rice paddies, jungles, people, but it's the perfect environment for anemia histolytica that eats holes through your intestines. And besides all the other general elements, you bleed it. Now, once we run water through all of those steps, Mayor Oda is not here. She was here she was at our event last night. She's our mayor in Troy. Once we run it through all of this, I would argue, and I could prove scientifically, that the water in the jungles of Southeast India right now are better than my water in Troy. See, then we have safe water. Now we can start figuring out how we prevent people from having typhoid. In Shroud, raise your hand for me. In Shroud's community in Connolly, India. You put it down, sorry. Typhoid, it's gone. Why is that important? Who here can afford, when it looks like maybe 1 or 2 of you might be retired, right? I'm not there yet. But when you work, or if you still work, who among us could lose 4 months of salary a year because of typhoid? I don't see any hands going up. Rainy season happens twice a year. Most people get sick twice a year, and they can't work twice a year for 2 months each. That's gone. People can now work. I'm assuming you've had people in here have had children, grandchildren. I heard about grandchildren. Right? They can't go to school because of the vomiting and diarrhea. And now they're in school. What do you want for your children? What do any of us want for children? What do we want for these 3 young people here? The ability to learn and to move forward and have it better and do more than we ever did. But that's the hope that's taught. Well, you can't have hope if you're lying on the ground. Right? All right. Because I don't know where I'm at in time, by the way, guys, that's a bad thing. You should know it's kind of when you talk. Right? We have projects now here in India. We have 2 in India, and we have 1 in Kathmandu, Nepal. Right? So we're excited. I think when I first talked to this group, 7 years ago, 6 years ago, Beth, maybe, we were trying to do something in India. We didn't have any projects. Right, I think I came back and we might have had, we did have the one. Now we have three. The last 18 months for us as an organization have very blessed. So now we have three projects up and running. Very excited about that. And here's the results. Sonia, yeah, she's famous. Don't tell her. I use her picture, right? As soon as smile on Sonia's face, you know why she's smiling? Because this was their water for their home, for their children's home, for the fatherless and the orphans. And it was diseased water all the time. They were constantly sick with vomiting, diarrhea, cramps, worms. It wasn't when they were sick, it was just a way of life. And then look at the water. Again, I told you before, but I drank the first one, we didn't even test it. I had confidence in our process, in our thought, in our model. Maybe should have tested it, but we didn't have to, right? And maybe she was just smiling at me going, oh, look at him, he doesn't even know if it's good. But it was good. All right, on your table, I didn't have enough left over from last night to give everybody, but I do have extras up here that I can make available. This is just, if somebody said, hey, what's happened in 10 years? These are just some numbers. And I know numbers are numbers, and you can do a lot of things with numbers, but I'm kind of excited, not because of what I've done, but because of this team over at this table has done, and all the people that work with them. Let's see, we have 3 projects up and running. Hopefully, we're going to have 3 more in Honduras. Right? You heard that talk about this. We're trying to figure out how we can do that. And when I say 3 projects in Honduras, if you weren't here a couple months ago, Rotary, Honduras, Belize, and Guatemala, they're on board with our 3 projects. They asked me, well, I guess maybe it's been 11 months ago now. Can you go back to the United States and talk to our Rotarian brothers and sisters and see if they will partner with us as part of the discussion? Right? They're already on board. We've already met with them. I have pictures, I think, somewhere in here, right? Dr. Melvin and a few others. But we have hopefully 3 more projects coming. We've had 3 disaster responses. Well, we're not a disaster organization, but when you have a water project in a community, your focus is on health, you're generating jobs, you're generating sales, you're generating income, you have net income to now reinvest into the community. And we've been able to do that with disasters 3 times so far. We've been able to start, Rick, raise your hand for him. Senior Business Advisor, he's the CEO of a large NGO outside New York City. At Connolly, we were able to start a school for children with disabilities. Never been done before. So I was like, hey, we need to do this. I'm like, okay, cool. I mean, he goes, you're a professor. And I'm like, yeah, it's different. These are nursing students. Like, I'm not sure what to do, but let's do something. Well, that's Rick's wheelhouse. Rick comes on board. He sees it with us. He's so excited. He actually took a team from his organization to go out, and they're taking it. I'm not even going to say to the next level. Like they're taking it levels farther than I could ever imagine. Serving now people in that community that have been well written off by society. Right. So again, other things happen when you start. Right. Let's see. Some of the numbers. If you believe in research, in British Medical Journal, I would say is fairly reputable. Right. 5,677 children in India should have died that have not because of the 2 projects we have with Shravan Kumar. Right, that's a real number. Served over 4 million people in those communities. Again, the vomiting, diarrhea, the bloody diarrhea, the typhoid is gone. People are working, children are in school. There's a different society. Right now, there's hope, there's opportunity. Let's see. Anything else I want to go in there? Because I could talk a long time and we don't have it. I think we'll just do that. I think we'll just kind of move along. Actually, no, I'm sorry. You gotta stay with me for a minute. We have sent 21 teams, either from America to other places, or teams within countries that our directors have led to go do assessments, to do follow-up, to do mentorship, right, to do health education. All of these things on the screen, on the things that you have, these placemats that you have in front of you, require money, right? We know that. Monday nights, not this past Monday, 17th. I gotta get it in my head here. 17th March 2025. 9:04 p.m. I have a text. That text gave me another number that is not on here. We passed our millionth dollar in donation to do all this in front of you. It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah. It was night. I was in the backyard, I had one of my dogs out, and I just stopped, and I just cried. Not because of the money, not because of the number, but because of everything that number represents and what everything these folks are doing at this table in their communities to make a difference, and not only a difference, but a generational difference. All right. Let's see, we could go to a lot of places. I'm just gonna skip that because I think I'm running a little bit behind. You know, we could go to 23 places right now. I don't have the money. I'm not asking you for the money for 23 places. But when we were thinking about this 2 years ago, I go, I have one project and I now have 23. That's kind of a big leap of faith. For a few of you that are in business, like you can't go from one sale to 23 without realizing that you might get in over here. So we made a decision 2 years ago, let's do 4. Let's make our goal 4. Let's do another project in India. Let's do one in Nepal. Let's do one in Honduras. Let's do one in Africa. Right? That gets us into different cultures, make sure our finance models make sense, make sure people, adapt to what we were doing. So that was our goal. Right now, we have the project in India completely funded. We have the project in Nepal going. We're talking to you guys about Honduras, and then I'm taking a team in July back to Kenya with this to try to rework it to kind of figure out the community. The community we're going to go in, I just don't think will work for a number of reasons. And so with that, Gustavo, can you come on up? So Gustavo is my director for Latin America, based out of San Pedro Sulu, Honduras. We've done 3 medical clinics. I can't remember. I think 3. Yeah, and 3 medical clinics. We were down there last year. But if you can just talk a little bit, these are where the 3 communities are that we're looking to do work in Honduras. But if you can just for just a few minutes and maybe tell the folks a little bit about those communities.
Okay, thank you for allowing us today to be here. Thank you for the launch. It's wonderful to hear about you. What are you doing for your people, for your community, for the kids, for the students? It's wonderful. In some moment, I feel a little sad to think about conflicts. One thing like this don't happen too often in our communities. Well, I have many reasons, but we are not talking about that. But how you can see these 2 communities. Copan is like the state. Florida is one of the, Florida is a city that belongs to Copan. And Corquín belongs to Copan. Why we choose these places? Zacapa is another town in another state. Because we have been visiting these communities with medical, dental, and eye project during the many years. We used to go at least 4 or 5 times to the same places with these medical groups. And we know we have a good relationship with the mayor, with the community, with the patronatos, with all the community, and we see very close the needs of this community, especially in the health and the water. The quality of the water is very important for the health of the people, of the community. Parasites, bacteria, all the pits tell this morning it's important. The cancer, Helicobacter pylori, and many other diseases of the stomach. For example, in Corquín, they have many problems with the stomach, with cancer, things like that. In this community, Zacapa, they have hot springs in the water. They have many hot springs around the town. It was talking about the volcanic, because it maybe it's for that. And we show these communities because we have a good relationship with the community. We are involved in many times with them in activities. And that is the principal reason in to show these communities. And another thing is, one of my friends, the best friend in Honduras, is a president of the Rotarian Club in one community. And he introduced me with another, we had a meeting with another Rotarian in Honduras. And it's wonderful how you have that connection and with every club from the state in Honduras, you speak the same language. And, and, and we are in the process approaching with these people in Honduras to make this real, that this can happen. For that reason, we are here this morning, because we are encourage you to make this a reality in Honduras. And thank you so much.
All right, let's just real quick, because we're getting close to the end. Um, you saw the picture of the bad water in the tap. You heard about the sulfuric acid, the volcanic water. I want to show you this, and I apologize, sort of. So I need to take lunch. Sorry. Just is what it is. Again, guys, maybe a bad speaking thing. I don't know about your coach, right? But here's the deal. Like when somebody said, well, you know, they're drinking sulfuric acid, like I have no context of what that does, right? You're just like, oh, they're drinking acid, right? You know, I don't know. Well, here's the problem. You heard Gustavo talk about the stomach cancer. Well, if you drink battery acid, bad things happen to your stomach. Right? We think sulfuric acid is battery acid. Okay. The other thing I have is, anybody have any children with baby teeth or have grandchildren with baby teeth? Or at some point you've had children and they have baby teeth. Okay. The sulfuric acid erodes baby teeth. So just in Florida, we're talking Zacapa has the same problem. There's roughly around 5,000 to 7,000 children. So 5,000 to 7,000 children under the age of 5 with the baby teeth, that the acid is eating all of their teeth away. So now they have the problems of vomiting, diarrhea, cramps, worms. They have the problem of all of this oral decay in the mouth. The abscesses that come from all the oral decay. And this is solved by just adding one filter. All it takes. Right? Well, I saw that I entered this community. The things happened after my last medical clinic there. But it just blows my mind away when we're down there. But I have 2 grandkids now. They have teeth. And it's just a filter. So again, when we talk later this afternoon, we continue to have conversations about what can we do collectively in Honduras. This is the reality. I mean, I'm not going to put pictures of diarrhea and vomiting up there, right? I'm not going to make that gross. Right? I mean, you guys get that, right? These children didn't do anything wrong. They're just trying to drink water. Anybody ever have a bad tooth? These kids are trying to sit in school with their entire mouth just being eroded and eaten away. They're not going to pay attention. They're not going to learn. They're not going to listen to their coach. All right. What we're going to do, we're going to partner with these communities. We can talk more in detail later. I know we're going to talk a little bit this afternoon about what that partnership looks like with the communities. But we're excited about going there. Even just pictures of some of the Rotarians, your brothers and sisters have met with them numerous times, right? I'm suggesting maybe we have a trip down there. I'll introduce you to your fellow brothers and sisters. No work that's needed. And that's all I have. I think I give you 5 minutes. You can either ask me questions or get your meeting early. I don't know.
For folks that haven't heard your presentation before, there's a lot of projects for drilling and creating water, access to water. He explained how this is different and how the sustainability.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, there are a lot of good folks. And, you'll see ads on TV, they have like an idea about drilling wells and how important that is. And I would disagree. If you don't have access, like if we don't have access to this water over here, then we can't even have the rest of the conversation. But the assumption is that when I drill a hole in the ground, I now have safe water, and that is a false. That is not true. Right? I'm learning from these guys already. Excuse me, right? That's not true. I can show you research after research in the African Journal of Microbiology that's reported that in 12 to 24 months, all the wells are contaminated. And they're contaminated with new pathogens that the people's immune systems have never been exposed to. And they're actually worse off from a health perspective after the well. But a lot of times you don't pay attention very long. I'm guilty of that, right? Like, let alone pay attention for 24 months to see if some intervention has actually made a difference. Right? You plant those plants for the butterflies actually come back, or is it just somebody giving you a line? But we don't pay attention that long typically. And so with that, let's just say I'm picking you, you're sitting close. I say, sir, would you write me a check for a project? You're like, okay, cool. He writes me a check. And then typically what happens with a lot of nonprofits, all of a lot, I come back next year, hey, you remember me? You want to write another check? And all right, check. Year 3, he doesn't even open the door, he doesn't even answer the phone. God, it's Pete, you want some more money? It seems like a very bad model to help. And so what we do is we get the philanthropic dollars to start the project, knowing that we've done a community assessment and a fiscal assessment that says if we sell X amount of liters, it's self-sustaining, and I never have to see you again. The only time you see me is when I come back with an impact report saying, hey, sir, look at what we've done with what you gave. And it's actually giving now more than you ever expected. Right, and so that's our model. Somebody told me, well, more people aren't going to buy water. One of those numbers on your little handout there is 13 million liters. These 3 projects have sold over 13 million liters. That was as of January 1. As of today, it's roughly 15 million liters. People will spend their money on what they value. And when I drink safe water from one of our projects, and I don't have typhoid, I don't have vomiting, I don't have diarrhea, my kids are in school and I have a job and I still work, everybody else in the community goes, maybe I should buy that water. There's value in that. And so that's how we look at sustainability. I know it's kind of a buzzword, but we have the metrics to tell you it will work. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Where's the government of Honduras?
Yeah.
What do they do?
I don't know. Where's the government of the United States? Uh-oh, I'm not supposed to talk about politics. I can tell you. So, no, but all that said and done, great question. Here's the deal. They had 2 massive hurricanes hit back to back. How close were they? Like a month apart?
Yeah.
They're a month apart. So we all know the devastation happened in North Carolina, right? That was one. They had 2 hit 30 days apart. Entire infrastructure, roadways, bridges, waterways, electricity, for almost half of the country was wiped out. And their government's going, well, I don't have that much money. Literally, if half the United States was wiped out in 30 days, even as wealthy and blessed as we are, we would not have enough money to recreate that infrastructure, let alone improve the infrastructure.
What's the capacity of your plant? I mean, how many million gallons can you?
Yeah, so capacity, how about this? It depends. Now, let me tell you why. Because of those 4 parts that you saw, we can build those parts as big or as small as we need to, right? So for example, Kajendra, they're making 21,000 liters a day, probably in the dry season, they'll make 30,000. But they have more capacity, but we only make what we can sell.
I hear you.
Right? Schwab, with the equipment that we have, if we could sell everything that we could make, you could make 60,000 liters a day. Rate limiting factor is the RO piece. That's the most expensive piece, and that's kind of the rate limiting factor. If you took the RO out, Strava right now could make 150,000 liters a day. but we wouldn't get the salts out, nobody wants salty water. Right, so it does depend, but that's the nice thing about the model. We do an assessment of the community. How many people are in the community, the surrounding community? How much do you think we will buy? Now we build a response that not only addresses all the technical issues of the water, but fits the community in which we place it. Hopefully, you still look at me like I didn't answer, but
Well, how much is it? What do the people do? They come in and buy
yeah,
how
so,
much?
yeah, so sales, so, we have three different models sitting at this table. Our project in Kadali, India, 80%, so let's just pretend this is all of Kadali. 80% of the people that buy water at that project are the ones buying it 20 liters at a time. And about 20% are businesses. In Nandagama, India, 80% are businesses buying it. And the reason they buy it is because they want their employees not to be sick. They want their kids in the school not to be sick because they don't get paid if the kids don't show up. And then 20% are individuals walking up. In Kathmandu already has businessmen. Let's just pick down this table here. They already have 5 businessmen, for example, and women. Sorry, women to be general racial, that have businesses to distribute water to each individual consumer. So why would I try to bypass infrastructure in the community that already exists? We actually make the water and then sell it to these 5 people. And therefore we impact the entire community, not having to get 100,000 people to show up every day, but by having now business with 5. And I'm making the numbers of it, but you understand the model. I can't remember how many people come. And so with the part in Honduras, we're actually going to partner with the local municipality and we will flip the switch on and affect 87,000 people immediately. Why? Because they already have the piping system. They just have bad water going through the pipes. So we're going to make it better. So the model of how people buy it depends on the community. And that's part of when people say, well, when you just go in and do something? No, we do an assessment. We talk with the community and figure out what are all the dynamics besides just the physical water piece. We have to do that. But if we drop something in a community that doesn't meet the community's needs, sir, you've been all over the world, you know this. If you do something that doesn't meet a community's needs, it's not going to work, even if it's a good thing. All right. Yeah, I'm getting close. Dr. Zimmer will be here after the meeting as well as the whole table here. So if you have any questions, please ask them.
Great.
Sure.
And we're gonna talk specifically more about this project and how we can partner. So if any of you Rotarians are interested at all, not saying that you have to be specifically involved in it, but just in the framework on how we can do this, you're welcome to stay afterward.
As always, we do a book dedication and again. We are the water protectors. And they all have signed it. So you go in the library. Next week's meeting, Colonel Travis Mott, Vice Commander of the Airmax Wing. Our leaders will be Stunning. Corona Costa and David Brandberg. Keep your eye on the training programs, Beavercreek Rotary or Facebook page, anything else for the good of the club. Please rise. I pledge to serve on the planet, funding us peace, as during all our courses and thank you for being here. And that's we have to finish. Let's go.
Elliot, great to see you.
Thank you.
Matthew, thank you. Rita. Okay, you're two I want to fight. A good Paul. Go see him all. So that's expanded speech in the bank. But I can John just needed that. Well, we just like yes, we I brought and it's go all the way if I go yeah. Joe. Thank you, Joe.
We got our plate. And it drove right over the trash can on the start. Yeah. I think it's certainly my not like. So much for looking. I could talk. On page, I have. They're gonna use that, that's some big dogs. And you know what they're saying now? They say, oh. It's a brilliant, it's a thing. Something's. Oh, yeah, and now it's a baby dog. I want her. Wow. So, here's our now. Yeah, I'm an engineer. All right, I'll show you. Just thank you for running. Yes. You know, it's true that we might not have what type of instrument. That's yeah, mix One. Wow. Today, go back. Yeah.